guys, my name is Kayla Ontiveros, and I'll be doing a presentation on option 1, theory and pop culture, and I'm going to be focusing this example mostly on the TV series Dexter. So let's get right into it. So a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about is basically what is deterrence, what does it mean, a quick overview of the show, deterrence applied in the show, and we're also going to be talking about some limitations of the deterrence theory as well as some examples, and we'll just go ahead and wrap it all up as well as go ahead and list the references that I used. So what is deterrence? Deterrence, as we know, is a big part of criminal justice. Here I put a quick definition, a legal context. The term deterrence refers to any instance in which an individual contemplates a criminal act but refrains entirely from or curtails the commission of such an act because he or she perceives some risk of legal punishment and fears the consequences. So here, there are two types of deterrence, specific and general. Specific, think more of an individual experience. So think of you committing a crime and then you going to jail. So now you know that you're not going to commit that same crime because you know you can go to jail. General is more of an indirect approach and experience with that. So let's say you have an uncle or a friend or a mom or anybody that isn't you commits a crime and they go to jail. So now you know, based on that observation, that if you do the same crime as they do, you will have the same consequence and go to jail. What about deterrence theory? The argument in which punishment discourages criminal acts and behavior. This theory focuses more on how fear of certain punishment keeps people away from committing the crime. And I'm sorry if you can't see behind the arrows, but so there are some different properties of deterrence, which deals with certainty, severity, and celerity. So based on the fear of these punishments, certainty is the fact that you're actually going to get punished regardless of what happens. Severity is how harshly you're going to be punished, and celerity is how fast that punishment will be enacted after committing the crime. So what exactly does that mean? In simple terms, if we know that we are going to get in trouble by doing something, we do not want to do that thing to get in trouble. So some examples of that would be, let's say, driving. So there's certain rules for driving a car. You know that there's police and traffic cameras that can see you driving your car. Distracted driving or speeding is a violation that can get you in trouble. Therefore, you're not going to speed or look at your phone while you're driving because you don't want to get in trouble with police. Another one, let's kick it back to when we were younger. So as a kid, you had chores, right? So you're being held accountable for the chores. If you don't do your chores, you can get grounded. Therefore, you're going to do your chores because you don't want to get grounded. So a quick overview of Dexter, this TV series. Fair warning, there are some spoilers. So this TV series is about a man named Dexter Morgan, who's a highly skilled blood spatter analyst who works for the Miami Metro Police Department. But Dexter also lives a secret double life. He's a vigilante serial killer, kind of wild. So he becomes a serial killer after developing an urge to kill after witnessing his mother being murdered. So in order to satisfy this urge, his adoptive father, who used to be a former police detective, gave him a code to live by and to basically work by. So he must have absolute proof that his targets are guilty regardless of what happens, leave no evidence, obviously, and never kill the innocent. And the plot twist within the show is that his adoptive sister works on the same police force as him, and she's a police detective hunting for the same suspects that he's killing. So some deterrence that's applied in Dexter. So we know, Dexter knows, working for the police department, he knows about cases old and new, the possible consequences of certain crimes, and how the suspects get caught, which we're gonna hold on to until later. And he knows the sentencings and the outcomes of these things. So the deterrent that would be applied would be the fear of getting caught and going to prison. So he knows that if he gets caught, he knows that there are the consequences, and that changes the way that he thinks about doing things and making certain decisions. So some limitations of deterrence theory. From an outside perspective, deterrence theory seems to be honestly quite rational, and it could lower crime, but only if it hits certain markers. So this theory assumes that everyone who is being punished has rational decision-making skills. So if you get in trouble, you're just always going to remember that you got in trouble from doing this one action. Sometimes it doesn't always work that way. It also requires that punishment be executed every time someone does something bad, which is as we know, not always the circumstance. It also does not take account into emotional and physical reality or psychological realities that an individual goes through when making decisions. So basically, if people don't get punished for a crime, people will have to worry less about getting caught, and they can even plan a way to not get caught as easily while committing the same crime. Like I said, back to Dexter. Some examples in the TV show of this theory shows, so since he didn't get caught, he knows how to plan better for next time. Since he's also part of the police force, he's able to keep track with the case and how far investigators are getting, which allows him to adapt and improvise on his next plans. He also has police training, which helps a lot so that he doesn't get caught. And when detectives find a body, he's able to go to a place where investigators don't think to look next. And, well, a quick conclusion of all of this: deterrence is a major component in the criminal justice system. Deterrence theory is an argument in which people are less likely to commit crimes due to the fear of punishment. Dexter provides a good example of the positive effects of deterrence, but it also does a good job of demonstrating the limitations that this theory carries. In this TV series, we can see the main character actively changing his methods of criminal behavior in order to escape punishment, and it also shows the weaknesses in the theory. Punishment can limit crime, but it will not stop it entirely. So if we apply this criminological theory to this TV series, the audience can get a better understanding of how fear of punishment can influence decision-making and how this happens in real-life scenarios. And yeah, thank you so much.